Welcome to my show. I'm a guest here. Her name is Jenine Lowery. This is Jenine. How are you doing, ma?
I'm doing well, thank you, and thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jenine. Firstly, you are a licensed professional counselor. You are also the founder and director of Black Female Therapist. Can you please, ma, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, ma?
Sure, sure. So I am a licensed therapist and I specialize in helping women who have experienced a breakup or going through a divorce. I'm licensed in Pennsylvania and Florida, and I help women who want to rediscover themselves and um, be able to find more self love after going through such traumatic experiences.
Hmm. That's true. It's not easy, Mrs. Jenna, even most especially for women. And I think you've written some several books when it comes to children. Like, can you discuss more in your books, and do you have more coming in the coming future, ma?
Yes, so I have several books, and they're on Amazon. One book I believe you may be thinking of in particular is a book that I wrote for individuals who are, well, children who are in the foster care system. It's called Adult Child Relationship book. And a lot of social workers and child therapists, foster parents, and sometimes even parents use it to be able to sit down with the child and get to know them better. They sit by side, and the book has a lot of prompts to ask the child different questions about themselves, and the child can ask questions about for the parent as they color at the same time. Because a lot of times when children are in foster care, they're moving from home to home and they're being asked the same questions over and over. And it's just a fun way for social workers and foster parents to be able to gather information without it seeming so clinical, kind of, like in a relaxed setting, sort of like how play therapists interact with children. My latest book is called Bold and Unbreakable Black Girl Soul Workbook. That is also on Amazon. And it is designed to help with healing the heart and highlights Black women leaders throughout the book. It offers a lot of thought provoking questions on items such as self love, boundaries, self awareness, believing in yourself, and things of that nature.
Hmm. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jenna, and I'm so glad you're writing a lot of things when it comes to children. Thank you so much, ma. And when I go through your bio, you personally said you are particularly, you know, helping women in creating a meaningful self love relationship with themselves. Can you please, ma, discuss more on that, ma?
Absolutely. So, a lot of times when women have gone through something traumatic, especially a divorce or a serious breakup, they start to doubt themselves and, they're looking for purpose and meaning in life. So, what I like to do is help them rediscover themselves. A lot of times, when you have a traumatic experience, you kind of lose yourself in the trauma and all of the awful things that have occurred in life. Because as they say, life just be life, and we want to get back to being able to center ourselves and ground ourselves and just wake up every day feeling happier and more at peace. And that's what I help women do.
That's very nice. Thank you so much, Mrs. Janelle. And what, like, if there is any, what do you think as the first step a woman can possibly take to begin to build a loving relationship, ma'am?
The first step is to practice self awareness.
Okay.
You know, We spend a lot of time getting to know our friends, family members, partners. We can tell you all sorts of things about another person, but sometimes we fail to just have that quality time with loving on ourselves. So, one of the things that I like to talk to women about is understanding to the emotional stages of development. Um, there are like four emotional stages. It's the infantile adult, the childish adult, the adolescent adult, and the mature adult. And when I sit down with a new client, we go over the different stages and what they actually mean and how you can recognize these things within yourself because sometimes you attract what you are. It's unfortunate, or you attract individuals um, who are looking to manipulate you. But sometimes we have to take ownership and we allow those things to happen. So I want to clarify because when I don't want people to think that they are intentionally doing certain things to attract people who don't have great character. What I mean is sometimes when we're not happy or healthy and we go into these relationships, we have a tendency to trauma bond. So we'll find someone or they'll find you, and you may think to yourself, well, I have an understanding of what they're going through because I went through a lot when I was growing up, or I just want to help that person. I want to quote unquote fix that person, but you have to be able to recognize that some people just aren't fixable. They need to go to therapy, and if that's not your specialization, then you have to be very careful who you allow to come into your life. So when I go over the emotional stages of development and we def- look at the definitions, clients can say, "Oh yeah, well I can see how maybe I acted as a childish adult in that instance when I was with that individual that I should not have been with." And we work on how we can change and shift that because we can always change our emotional stages of adult development, but we can't change our chronological age. It's two different things. Just because you are a person of a certain age, like you may be 40 years old or 30 years old,
Mm,
that doesn't necessarily mean that you are a mature adult by the definition of what it means to be a mature adult. And when we're not acting in that, within that capacity, sometimes we have a tendency to attract someone who may also be a childish adult or adolescent adult, and that's where the problems come in at. So it's a lot of work. It's
mm,
a lot of work, but my clients seem to be happy once we get through the journey that I take them on. Most of them are, I would say. So it's worth it. It really is because what you don't want to do is take those same qualities into your next relationship. You want to clean all that up so you can attract mature adults. And the way you do that is checking your own self to make sure you are a mature adult.
mm. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jenna. That self love is what, I just want to go into now because you said some things about that. Like, do you think there's any practical, self love daily practice you can recommend, ma?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
it's not a one size fit all situation with self love. You have to understand what makes you happy and spending time journaling and trying to figure out what it is that excites you and makes you feel fulfilled and loved is what I would tell people to practice on a daily basis. But you have to sit down with yourself and try to understand that. Like I said earlier, we spend a lot of time learning other people. So, you know, uh, for instance, someone may think journaling might be the perfect self-love activity for one person, but another person it may not work for. Same with meditation. Sometimes people say when they try to meditate, their mind drifts, but other people find pleasure in that. Some people find pleasure in prayer and spending time alone with God, and that's a part of their self-love practice. It's all about what is unique for the individual. So I would say step one, even if journaling is not your thing, you wouldn't necessarily have to do it continuously, but just spend a little time trying to journal, but with a specific goal in mind, journaling your thoughts on what makes you feel at peace. Ask yourself those questions like, when am I the happiest? When am I the most at peace? Am I more happy when I am by the water, or I'm happier when I'm in the mountains? Am I happier when I take long walks? Like, you really have to pay attention to what it is that makes you feel good, and you do more of that. And that's a part of your self-love plan.
Mm. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jenner. And I don't know, how do you think, I don't know if they can identify, like, how do you think women can learn to probably identify and also let go of unhealthy relationship patterns, both with themselves and others now?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, this one is going to be hard for people to relate to, not
Mm.
all people, but some people. And it's really rooted into forgiveness. And it's not easy. And a lot of people are like, oh, how could you say that? I can't forgive that person that hurt me. But I know this is a cliche saying, but forgiveness is not for the other person, and it's for you. And I think a lot of times people don't spend time explaining what that really means. And it does, and what it doesn't mean. So we can start out, well, what does it not mean? It doesn't mean that you have to reconcile with that person. Doesn't mean you have to start spending any time with that person. It doesn't mean that you condone what they did to you. It doesn't mean any of that. All it means is that you have decided that you are going to give up the anger that is associated with what they did to you. You're going to release that anger. And that's the hard part, because a lot of people feel like, well, if I release the anger, that means I'm letting them get away with something, but you're not. Because the problem with holding on to that anger is that unforgiveness can cause issues within your body. So it's just hurting you twice. The person already hurt you. And now, because you're holding on to that bitterness, rage, and anger, it could cause your all of your muscular system, your nervous system to be affected. Just think about how you feel when you're angry with someone. Like, you feel it in your body. And that's not fair to you. So I would say learning to let things go. And if you have difficulties in learning how to let things go, that's when you should seek out help from a therapist or someone who is a mental health coach that can possibly help you with that, because it's so important to release those feelings, especially because you don't want it to keep affecting your health. I mean, people literally lose sleep over unforgiveness, and it just affects every part of your life. So it is so important to work through that.
Yes, thank you so much, Mrs. Jenner. And I remember you said, what you love doing, your passion, your hobbies, what makes you happy. Like, do you think there's also any way someone can explore one's strengths, passion, and hobbies, to enhance self relationship, man?
Explore their strengths. Is that what you're saying? How do they explore their strengths?
Yes, man.
Oh, okay. One of the ways you can explore your strengths is to, if you are extremely close with, and if you have like what we call a tribe, like good friends or family members who are good to you.
Mm.
And if you don't know your own strengths, ask people that are close to you. Say, ask them, what do you think that I'm good at? What do you think that I'm great at? And a lot of times they'll be honest with you and say, you know what? You're really, really great at being empathetic, or you're really great, you're very kind, or they'll tell you different things if you don't recognize that within yourself.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jenna. And personally, generally, like to the women out there, like what advice do you think you can give out if you have any ma?
What advice would I give them?
Yeah, generally, ma. If you have any ma.
Generally, I say generally, it is extremely important to have a spiritual practice. There are some things that we, even as therapists, uh, have difficulties explaining why. For instance, why does bad things happen to good people? You know, and
Mm.
some people struggle with that, different things that are that appear demonic in a sense. Why do horrible things happen to children, things of that nature. Sometimes it's hard for people to wrap their head around the meaning of horrible things. And when you have a really good spiritual practice, whether it is that you believe in God or whatever God that you serve, let's put it that way, being able to have a connection with a higher being will help you to be grounded and have a better understanding of the fact that you're not alone in this world. If you have a spiritual practice, you'll never be alone. You'll always have that piece of spirituality within you. For me, I'm a Christian, so I believe in God. So I spend quality time every day, reading my Bible and in prayer. And it gives me comfort in the things that are unexplainable. And I would invite anyone who is looking for that, like you said, some additional advice or support. If you're not going to go to therapy, or you're not interested in going to therapy, or even if you do, because I believe in spirituality and therapy, or spirituality and coaching. It's just a beautiful thing when you know that someone or something, your higher being, is always going to be there for you.
Mm. Thank you so much, Jenna. And I also remember there was a time my distance said there's a difference between healing through spiritually and healing physically. They are two different things. So, you know, having the spiritual healing and the physical one is very, very important. Thank you so much, ma. And lastly, there is a question I normally ask, ma, from the ancestors, from the forefathers. If there is anything that you think you can bring back to our time today, what do you think that thing will be, ma?
Well, I'm not 100% sure I understand your question, but one thing I can say about the ancestors for me is that I feel, as an African American woman, I'm never alone when it comes to my ancestors as well. I mean, I know we talked about spirituality, but I can distinctly remember times when I've gone through some things, and I would often say to myself, what would my ancestors think of this? Like, how can I please them? Because as being an African American woman, I'm clearly aware that people have died for my rights. I mean, we're getting ready to vote on Tuesday, and
Mm.
I know that there's so many people who died for my right to be able to cast my ballot on Tuesday. And I take that very seriously. Like, when I go on Tuesday to vote, I'm going to feel like I'm not just walking in there by myself. I'm walking in there with so many women who marched and during the civil rights movements, and were on the plantations and were slaves, and came over on the boat, and even the ones that didn't make it, like, were stolen from Africa, and just didn't even make it because they passed away on the boat due to torture or they jumped over. I carry all those people with me. So, yeah, and I feel it often. It gives me strength, it gives me power, and helps me to become a better person because I know that um, I have to be able to excel because they couldn't.
Hmm. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jenna. You really said something that really touched me there. Thank you so much, ma. I want to sincerely thank you for your time, for the opportunity you gave me to be on my show. Thank you so much, ma.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
All right, ma. I will want to be, ma. Bye bye.
Bye.